Hi, I'm Shonda Ramsey, your host and fellow indie author. Are you overwhelmed at the thought of publishing your book by yourself? Has fear kept you frozen in place, unable to write even the first word of your book? Not knowing the steps you need to take shouldn't stop you from writing. That's why I've asked for help from some amazing industry professionals, published authors, and others who are in the same situation as you to share their knowledge on the self-publishing process. Welcome to Dear Indie Author, where we inspire creative independence in every writer. Hi everyone, I am here with my friend Tami. Tami, it's so good to have you with me. I want to get started by asking you some rapid fire icebreakers. Are you ready?
Absolutely.
All right. What is your favorite book?
The Chronicles of Narnia.
What is your inspiration?
God and family.
What is your dream travel destination?
I love the Smoky Mountains.
I do too. That's a great place. What is your favorite color?
Melon.
Okay. What is your choice between a notebook or digital notes?
It's a hard one, notebook, but I do both, but notebook.
What is your biggest challenge?
Self-discipline.
That's a good one. What is your favorite place to write?
In my office, I think.
Do you use pen or pencil?
Pen.
What is your most important value?
Honesty.
That's a good one. What is one word to describe your book?
Love.
What is your favorite animal?
A panda bear or a penguin, both of those.
Love that. And what is the first word that comes to your mind when you hear the word faith?
God.
God. Love that. Love that. Well, thank you for joining me. I would like to give you the opportunity to introduce yourself to the audience.
Okay, I'm Tami Gray. Tami Kennemer Gray is what will be on my book. I am a virtual assistant that God blessed me with the opportunity to do a virtual assistant business a few years back. He also commanded me, I guess you would say, to write many years ago. And so I am thoroughly enjoying that process and being able to do that with him. I love my family. I've got grandbabies now, and that is where I spend a lot of my time helping homeschool alongside doing my business and writing.
That's awesome. Can you share the inspiration behind the title of your book, Fearlessly Unbecoming? What does it mean to you personally?
To me personally, it has meant letting go of all of the expectations and the shackles that we can feel growing up within a religion. And no matter how proper and correct that religion may be, there are expectations that sometimes get twisted or taken out of context. And we end up under this religious mindset that we can never measure up. And so I have taken actually a lot of my adult years and focused on unbecoming all of those things that I assumed were correct, and then learning to develop my own relationship with God, with his word, with the scripture. And that's what I love to share and want to encourage other women to do, is to let go of what others say or what we have this concept in our head that we think a relationship with God is supposed to look like, and to really delve into his word and figure that out for ourselves so that we can let go of the things that never were really intended for us to begin with. Mm-hmm. A relationship with God is so much simpler and in depth and intimate than we are led to believe so many times. And the other thing that I really like to say is, if you are still going off of the things that you learned as a child in Sunday school or whatever, wherever you learned that, and you haven't really delved further, then a lot of times we can have a relationship that is still so childlike and unknowing of his personality and the intimacy that we can have. And so I really want to help women decide that they want that relationship personally, not based on what others think that it should be. So I want to help people unbecome the things that people have told them all along they should be, and really look at who they are and what that means in their relationship with God.
That's amazing. So good. What key themes or messaging are you hoping to convey through your book?
Love. I mean, 100% love. I believe that in love, I mean, scripture tells us that God is love. And so, as that, when something is done in love, it is done in God. And so, learning to love the life that you have, the life that He has intended for you, that He has developed for you, and understanding the love that He has for you. He does things because He loves us. He sets boundaries, or any of the things that we are expected to do through scripture is done because He loves us. And so that theme of love, of loving others, of loving yourself, of loving Him, and knowing what that truly means, and being able to do that without the constraints of expectation put on it that we so many times have, and to be very intentional about that love and what that means and what that does not mean that we have assumed that it means in the past.
That's great. That's a really good theme to have. How has your personal journey influenced the writing of this book?
Very much so. So the book is split into 3 sections, and each of those sections is essentially based off of a vision that God gave me. I'm a very visual person, so a lot of times when He teaches me a lesson, He does that through this visual thing that I see in my mind. It's hard to explain sometimes. It's just almost like a little movie playing in your mind, and He just teaches me these lessons through showing me how that plays out. And so each of these sections then is based on that visual that He gave me, and then the life lessons that He took me through because of that, and that correspond with that.
That's great. What challenges have you faced while writing Fearlessly Unbecoming, and how have you overcome them?
Have I overcome them? The challenges have been a lot of self-doubt, a lot of who do you think you are, a lot of that I don't know enough, I don't have enough experience, I don't have all of those things that I'm learning that writers deal with. And honestly, I think anybody who has a calling, I think they deal with it. Most people deal with that on some level or another. And so understanding that this is a project that I'm doing with Him, and that this is not about me, this is about what He has shared with me, that He would like to just flow through me into the person who needs it next. And that has been the biggest help in that, letting go of the those self-doubts that I have, and leaning into allowing Him to just do His thing. That's been my biggest struggle. That is an ongoing process continually.
Yeah, that's where growth comes in. Once you recognize that and can work through it, that just shows your growth as an author, as well as your growth and your relationship with God, which is amazing. What made you decide to self-publish Fearlessly Unbecoming?
I think probably that's a good question. That's a hard question. A lot of it was because it was hard for me to make a decision to just jump in. Mm-hmm. And it has been an ongoing process for so long. And last year, I had an intimate time with God of really committing to Him that I was going to do this, period. End of discussion. It was going to happen. I was not going to stand before Him at some point and say that I was disobedient. To me, obedience is God's love language. And so I had to really make a decision on, are you going to be obedient or are you not going to? And so self-publishing was an outlet that allowed me to move at the pace that obedience required. And so I was able to do that along with my business. I have been blessed to meet people and to be able to understand that self-publishing world a little bit better. And so it took away that unknown and that fear But more importantly, the obedience doesn't always come on somebody else's timeline. And I needed to be able to work at the timeline that he set forth for me.
That's great. I love that. Your favorite quote that you mentioned is, "We are all just walking each other home." How does this perspective shape your writing and interactions with others?
Yeah, I heard this quote just a few years ago, and it struck me from the beginning because I believe that that's what we're doing. I think that I am on my road home. That is what my life is. My life is to get to him. And that is what my ultimate goal is, to just be able to just take him by the hand and have whatever that next looks like for us. And to be able to take people with you on the ultimate journey is a huge blessing. And so I think that so many times we get wrapped up in maybe we need to fix or change or something for somebody else. We see issues, we see obstacles. But when I change that into looking at, we're just walking alongside each other, and I can warn you of a rock that may be in your path, but I can't force you to do something. I can't force you to watch out for that. But I can also be there to help you up and to continue that walk with you. And I also see it as this walk with God, because it's another visual he gave me, is just a path that sometimes we chase butterflies off of the path, or we see a flower we want to go inspect. But ultimately, we always come back to him on that path, just walking home. And he's there for us. He doesn't stop. He doesn't always go chase butterflies with us, but he's constantly there for us to come back to, and for us to be that for other people. One, welcoming them on the journey with us, and two, being there with, if they have fallen off the path, are we helping them back up? Are we taking them with us? That journey together, instead of seeing it as, oh, you have to do your journey exactly like mine. We can have different journeys, but we can journey together and just walk home together.
That's really good. I like that. That was beautifully said. How do you believe stepping boldly onto the path God created for you can impact one's life and work?
Beautifully, beautifully. It is so hard to describe. I have used the example before. I had a job that I did years and years ago. And when I did it in the beginning, I did it as a job. It was a job. I was decent at my job. It was fine. And then I was no longer at that job, but then came back. And the difference in when I had completely submitted that job to him, and the difference in my abilities, my love for the people, my insight, the things that I didn't know before. And it was all based on the fact that I committed to do that job with him and in his way, and to love the people at that job and to do it to the best of my ability. And so when you turn those things over to him and allow him to be the one who orchestrates or guides you, I guess I should say, is more, because he just kind of guides you like a road sign. This way, is the best option for you, and is how you will be able to have the most clarity and the most peace, and to operate at that pace of peace. So walking in that with him, no matter what the job is, no matter what the calling is, no matter what it is, you can do it on your own, or you can do it with him and see the fruit of that you would have never imagined before.
It's always better when you go with him, I say. I've tried to do it by myself before, and it has always not ended very well.
I think we all have that story.
Can you talk about the importance of finding a community of book professionals and mentorship in your writing journey?
Absolutely. That is something that I don't hesitate to say. Without that, I don't know that I would be able to do what I'm doing. I think that has been part of the journey that God had orchestrated for me, is that he had people that he was bringing into my life that helped me get to the next step, each step of the way. I may not know what the step looks like 10 steps from now, but he has brought those people and allowed me to have these connections and this community of people that I would have never anticipated. And because of that, I have been able to actually take the steps towards obedience that I would have still been floundering in had he had not revealed that community to me.
Community is so important. I know, especially when trying to get your book out into the world, there's just so many things that you need to do to get it there. So it's always great to bring along other people who can help get it to the finish line.
I look at the fact that I could have gotten it out there, not to the level that would have honored him to the extent that it can now. There's always more that you can do. There's at some point you just have to decide that, okay, we're just doing it. But had I stayed outside of community, it just wouldn't have been exactly what he needed it to be. And I believe that the community that he brought is what I used to look at it as a father-daughter project between me and him. And now I've realized that my book is a father-daughter project for all of those people who are involved in it, and that they are walking in their obedience to him as well. And so this is more than just a me thing. And had I done it on my own, it would have been lacking in so many more areas.
That's amazing. Such a beautiful thing to do. What advice would you give to someone struggling to find their path or voice as a writer?
God gave me one word when he told me to write, and it was to write. And I struggled through the years with, okay, what does that mean? Because there was no clarification for it. It didn't say, write a song, write a blog, write a book, write a poem, and I kept saying, and I tried pretty much all of it except for songs because I don't sing. But I tried all of the things, and I kept saying, God, what is it that you want me to do? And that one word is what kept coming back to me, was write. And so I still am not going to say that God told me to write a book. God told me to write. And this was and then I had the freedom. He gave me the freedom in how I went about that. I kept looking for this really specific answer when in reality, he is saying, this is the gift that I've given you. What do you want to do with it to honor me? You have freedom in your choices in that. And so I know a lot of people get a very direct direction. I guess they get a really specific direction on what they're supposed to do. Mine was not that way. And when I learned that was freedom, that I could then choose what I wanted to do with that. So as long as I was writing, it was honoring him. And as long as I was writing to honor him, then it was going to honor him. And it didn't have to be a very specific thing. So I say, write. Whatever it is that you choose to do, just write. There were times that I had no idea what to write. And so I would just write scripture in my journal. And I've never been a journaler, but after he said to write, that was sometimes all I knew to do, was to physically write in a journal. And so that's what I would do. Little did I know that then when I started my book process, those journals just had it all right there for me to just kind of plug in. And so that process has been in and of itself huge for me to be able to put a book together then. And so even on those times that I felt like I was doing nothing or I wasn't doing enough, I guess, those he has used to then be able to take that next step. So honestly, I say whatever it is that God has told you to do, whether it's sing or paint or write or whatever it is, do it in some capacity, even if it is nothing, even if you're just practicing, because it is a way of worship. And that is another thing that as a creative, I love to do all the hobbies, and writing is one of those things. But I try to sit and think about, no matter what I'm working on, God's the ultimate creative. And so use it as a way to worship, to spend time with him. And it's never wasted at that point. And so it is, building a relationship with your children is never wasted. Building a relationship with your husband is never wasted. Those little moments. And so even those small moments that seem like they're not big enough or that they don't amount to anything, they're building a relationship of intimacy with him. Use it as, even if nothing else, if it never becomes a book, if it never becomes huge, it is a building of a relationship for y'all to do together. And that is enough. And just continue to do it in that capacity, and it will eventually be exactly what it's supposed to.
That's great advice. Just start somewhere. I love that. As a virtual assistant, how do you balance your professional responsibilities with your writing?
So you asked me one question earlier, and I said self-discipline.
Yeah.
That is something that has always been a struggle for me, because we like to do the things that are fun. We go towards, but one of the things that he has really blessed me in is that as a virtual assistant, I love my job. I love all the aspects of my job. There's very little that I could complain about. And so that makes it even that much harder to then carve out time for writing or for anything else, because when your job is fun, you could do it 24/7 and not feel burdened by it. And so really having specific times that I say, have you written today? Have you written this week? Have you written in the last couple of days? And to really set those sides of time as my creative time, of my time to sit with him, and to remember that it is a date with him. You've set a date, you want to have a date with him and spend that time with him. Again, it's that, am I really going to deny worship? And so that seeing it for what it is really helps put that perspective and that priority there.
That shows your obedience right there. That's really hard to do sometimes, because even I fall into that trap of, I'm just really tired. I've worked really hard today. And so it's easy to just put it off to the next day. So being obedient
Well,
and self-disciplined is great.
realize I didn't say I do it well, or I do it all the time, but that is my outlook on how, when I realize that I'm out of sync with that,
Yeah,
reminding myself, get back into that worship and obedience with him.
that's awesome. I love that. How has helping others with their technical and organizational tasks influenced your own creative process?
Um, I like to remember that when we are organized, I say that I don't know that I was born as an organized person. I developed skills out of disorganization. And so when you develop the skills, and I used to always think about it as, well, I don't want to do that. That's not the fun thing. Again, we kind of lean towards the easy. But when he really showed me that when you are organized, then you have the freedom and the time to be able to lean into the fun things, the aspects that you really want to do. And so leaning into that organization really allows me to free that time up for the other things in life, and to have that schedule. You're not constantly worrying about, oh, I didn't get this done or I didn't get that done. When you stay on that organization schedule, then you have that freedom to sit in him, to sit with him, and not be having all the things in the back of your head that you should have, could have done. You really have freedom. And so those things, it's why I love to do it for other women, is because if I can help free them to be able to have that intimacy with God, with the calling that they have on their life, that's a huge blessing to me. If I can take some tasks that help you have that same freedom, I don't know of a better way to serve. For me personally, to be able to use my skills to help other people have the freedom for that intimacy with God is huge for me.
That's amazing. That's something I think that everybody would love to have, is to get more time back. I think that that's very precious that you offer that. What do you hope readers will take away from your book in terms of their personal and spiritual growth?
This is very personal to me. I really want readers to see how much he adores them. And we hear that a lot. It can become cliche, but the fact that he is not standing over us, pointing a finger, and that he really is welcoming us into a relationship with him, into his presence, into being that we are royalty in his sight. And to be able to know that, one of the questions in the book and that he gave me was, I want you to think about all of the movies you've watched, the books you've read, because I love fairy tales. And so all of the books you've read and the movies you've watched, and I want you to think of the princesses and their father and what lengths that he goes to care for them, to protect them, to provide all of those things. And so he really took me on this process of sitting in that and thinking about those things and building those ideas up in me. And he said, that is what I do. That is who you are to me. And if we could grasp that, our lives would be so drastically different. And I think that so many times when we are brought up, people do the best that they can to teach us right from wrong and to teach us about scripture. But when you really delve into it for yourself and you see yourself through his eyes, it's life-changing. Everything else can really fall into place so much better when you have an understanding of who you are. And that is the biggest thing that I hope that people will take away, is seeing who they are and developing that personal relationship.
That's amazing. Can you share a story or moment that reaffirmed your calling to write and help others on their journey?
There's been several, and I'll say that it never fails, that as soon as you think you could never amount to anything and that you're not supposed to, there's always, he sends something or someone to reaffirm that. And so one, I guess, would be my mom, who I lost several years ago, but she always encouraged me to write. And even if it was, some of the silly stuff that I would write, sometimes I like to write short stories. I wrote some short story historical fiction after my parents died, because that helped me process through grief and memories and all of that. But when somebody else says, I love that, or that really spoke to me, there are multiple instances of that where friends have said, I've read this multiple times. It has really impacted me. I can tell you that one of the biggest moments for me was my sister-in-law read my book, and her response to it just kind of melted me in the sense that somebody connected with it and it meant something. And with that, I was like, okay, well, I'm done. I can stop right now, because that was enough for me. Is just having that confirmation that I'm not completely wrong, that I am on the right path, and that it meant something to someone. God always brings that and allows you to have those little, I just call them God winks, those little God winks of, you're headed in the right direction and you're doing well. And he will always provide those things when we are really desperate for those. He's really good at that.
That's awesome. I love that. How do you stay motivated and inspired to keep writing and pursuing your calling?
It's the desire to be obedient. It's the desire he has done so much. He has blessed me so much in life. He has taken care of every situation that has ever come up, that I've ever needed. He's always been there. And if his love language, like I said, it's just how I think of it. If his love language is obedience, and why wouldn't I want to be? So continuing to be obedient with him and to walk in something with him. My dad's favorite gospel song was In the Garden. And so I think about that a lot, where it says we walk with him and we talk with him. And I think of that with my writing, that's when I walk and talk with him a lot, is when I'm writing or when he's giving me these ideas. That is that intimacy and that intimate relationship with him. The closest I can say I've ever been to what I would consider the Garden of Eden is that being able to really kind of be in his presence and to walk with him. And so kind of, I say chasing, but you don't ever have to chase God. It's just that being with him, but that chasing after that of wanting to be in relationship with him consistently, because I know the peace and joy that that brings.
It's beautiful. Is there anything else you'd like to share with our listeners, or any upcoming projects or initiatives you're excited about?
Well, my book will be released later this year. Don't have a specific date yet, so still working on that. And I feel that's kind of prompting, and I hope that it comes to fruition, that I would love to have an add-on to the book of maybe, God has taken me through such a process. I would love to be able to write through that process and share other books. And that may just come in the form of my website that is currently it's there, but it's being worked on consistently, and on Facebook as well. Maybe it's just through sharing through those, but I really want to connect and share more closely with women and share the book, but also just walk that walk, just walk home with them, and be able to do that I don't want to be someone who puts the book out there and then just leaves it there. I want to really develop relationship through that, because I think that what he has done for me, so many other people could benefit from as well. And so I would love to be in relationship with women throughout the process moving forward. And I'm not 100% sure what that's going to look like, but that is my heart's desire.
I love that. That's amazing. Kind of like your own community, which is great to have. Can you please share with everyone where they can find you?
Yeah, so currently my website is called Tattooed Wedding Rings and Whiskey Prayers, and you can find that by searching that online. And then also on Facebook, that same name is where my Facebook profile is. And you can see blog posts, and I just share things there that I feel like connect. My husband and I also, my husband's a music guy. He loves music, and that's how he connects with God, with people, with everything. And so he usually finds a lot of good testimonies of people or songs that really kind of break through what your typical religious songs are. And you get to see people on an intimate level. And we just will share things that we find there that can kind of help people see that perfection is not what God's looking for. And that is my hope through social media and my website, is to let you know that wherever you are in your journey, he is 100% excited to see you and to be there with you. So those are the two places right now that they can find information.
Wonderful. I'd love for you to share the letter you wrote to our audience as we close up today's interview.
Okay. Dear indie author, it's time. We live in a day and age where your story is due. People are searching for someone to connect with, someone who understands their plight. The extreme diversity that grows wider daily creates a vast expanse of uniqueness. What people tend to overlook is that unique equates to rare, which can equate to solitude and loneliness. Who is floating in that vast expanse of individualism that can be tethered to your story through shared experiences or qualities? They are searching now. No matter if you reach them through poetry, fairy tales, self-help, or any other genre, it will find its place. My writing coach, Krissy Nelson, recently told me that the message has a mission. For me, that means it is my job to give the message its physical form. The message will then find its way to fulfill the mission. Your message has a mission of its own. Quit keeping it squirreled away where it cannot accomplish what it is meant for. You are the only thing standing between your message and its mission. Also, as hard as it is to admit sometimes, you need a team. You need people who have been on this path ahead of you and can help point you in the right direction. For me, having a writing coach catapulted me into action. God has been faithful to put a team of women in my life through a multitude of paths who have come alongside me professionally and personally and have offered encouragement and expertise through this process. For me, it has been the key to completing the task. I would have never guessed that I would hire people to help. In my mind, I was going to do the best I could, and I had no high hopes for what the outcome would be. Now, God has provided a way for this father-daughter project to include professional women who are excellent at what they do to be a part of the final result. What I thought was a father-daughter project between him and me has ended up being a project between him and many women I have had the privilege of working with. It is as much theirs as it is mine when it comes to working with him. You are not walking through this alone. Trust the process, walk in the rhythm of peace, and find your people. Your message is waiting for your yes.
Hey everyone, it's Shonda Ramsey. Are you looking for the perfect holiday gift? Look no further. I have 3 incredible book bundles just for you. First up is Bundle 1, Anchored in Faith. This bundle has just enough to get someone started, including the authentically anchored book and companion workbook, along with a few extras. Next is Bundle 2, Anchored in Love. This bundle helps someone dive deeper in their faith, the ultimate act of self-love. It includes the authentically anchored book and companion workbook, along with even more extras. And finally, don't miss out on Bundle 3, Anchored in Creativity. This is the ultimate bundle for those ready to go all in on their faith and creatively rediscover their authentic selves. It includes the authentically anchored book and companion workbook, along with most of the companion products. Head over to shondaramsey.com to grab your bundles today. These are the gifts that keep on giving. Merry Christmas! Thanks for listening. I'm your host, Shonda Ramsey. For the show notes and links, head over to shondaramsey.com and don't forget to join in on the conversations on Facebook. Be sure to subscribe so you don't miss a show and write a review where you listen to podcasts. Until next time, always remember, every writer deserves to see their words in print.